Welcome to Mouse Island, an island of 1,000 mice. Here, everything is counted in bread. Bread is used for both food and currency. Most mice spend the year making bread, planting, grinding, baking. The bread leaves their hands and moves somewhere else. Some are lucky to keep one, some don't. Winter comes either way. Most mice live on one loaf a year, and most mice live to the age of 80, so over a lifetime that's 80 loaves. And some mice live on crumbs all through the year, and some die because they don't even get that. And there are other mice that have 50, maybe 100 in storage, enough to rest and relax. But then there are 3 who own and store 650,000 each. Loaves arriving faster than they could ever eat them, and still more come in. Stored in vast warehouses stretching across the island as far as the eye can see. And one day, a mouse suggested, hey, no mouse should keep more than 2,000 loaves, and the rest returns to the village. The 3 rich mice protest and threaten. It is ours. We earned it. If you dare, we will kill you all. But they are not alone. A small mouse, clutching a single slice, shouts out, I agree. One day all that they have could be mine. So if you found yourself siding with the mice that you want a 2,000 bread cap, well, you are in favour of a wealth cap. Now, in this simplistic Mice Island analogy, 1 loaf of bread is equal to the average medium income of 80,000 K. 2,000 loaves would be a wealth cap of 160 million, and 650,000 loaves would be around about 50 billion, which Gina Rinehart is around the 500,000 loaf mark. That's Australia's richest woman financier of the far right. So that will give you some idea of a real life comparison. Now, this isn't a policy document. This isn't an economic and financial argument as to how this would happen, etc., etc., etc. How, if the mice spend all year making loaves, why do they have clothes? Don't worry about that, please. This is a very simplistic, straightforward illustration and moral argument. It's a moral argument. And the argument is very simple. It's very clear. Here are 3 mice hoarding 650,000 loaves of bread away in warehouses, probably, protected by mouse goons, which we didn't go into. And there are most people that live on 1 loaf of bread a year. And there are some people that live on crumbs. And there are some people who die because they don't have enough bread. Meanwhile, there are these vast warehouses of bread being stored. That's the moral argument. And that's a pretty straightforward and honest reflection of where we are actually today. And on one level, a quite watered down, softer version, because the reality is far more violent, far more grotesque, and far more brutal than what's illustrated here in this short little cartoon. And this is where we've got to. We've got to the point where not only do these 3 mice hoard all this wealth, and in any normal environment, these mice would be reviled. If you lived in a village and there were people dying of thirst and there was someone in the village that stored all this gallons and gallons of fresh water, they would rightfully be reviled. Yet we don't revile these people. We worship them. They're considered successful. They're aspirational. The Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, the Gina Rineharts. And they should be reviled, because to hoard that amount of wealth, to hold all that, while people literally starve. And if you're not starving, most of us are just working day in, day out just to pay the bills. And by the time we get to the end of that year, that bread of loaf is finished and we start all over again. That's the most most of us will get. And yeah, there are a few that get a few more loaves than that, but that's most people's lives. And let's not also forget all that storehouse of bread is created by the people living on 1 loaf a year, or less. And this is the craziness. That this level of hoarding on an individual level, if you encountered someone that greedy and that self-centered and that selfish on an individual level, that was willing to hoard that while other people died and suffered, what would you do? Yet that is exactly what's occurring. We are so captured and so enamored that I think is a really interesting question, because that's not on them, that's on us as a public. How we've bought into this. How these three mice have convinced us, like the little mouse with one slice of bread, that somehow they're to be something to be aspired to, rather than something reviled. It's disgusting, it's obscene, it's grotesque. That is the most appropriate response. And I don't have any illusions that there will be a wealth cap, in the sense of that they're going to protect what they have so well. But I'm talking about the principle of where have we got to when this is just okay. And if you don't believe in a wealth cap, you don't believe there should be a set amount of loaves, you think it ends at 650,000? You think it ends at a trillion? When there's no wealth cap, then there's no end to their greed. The sickness that they are possessed by, there is no end to it. I want it all. There's never an enoughness to these people and the systems that perpetuate them. But at minimum, we should be clear. This level of hoarding, it's a sickness. It's mental. And to think anything else is a moral failure. A moral failure of integrity, a complete lack of empathy and compassion, and a deeply disturbing misunderstanding of what it is to live together, what it is to share and live on this planet. So if you're not in favour of wealth cap, I'd like you to think about why that is, and where did those ideas come from, and what your moral argument is. Because if you were faced with that, if you were a mouse and your mouse mother died because she didn't have enough crumbs and there are vast storehouses of bread that will never be eaten, I don't think there's an argument against that, or for that, sorry. So there we are.